Explosion on the red carpet. Byun Woo-seok and Kim Hye-yoon just stunned the world by openly showing affection in front of flashing cameras and thousands of fans. Was this a long-awaited confirmation or an unexpected twist? Red carpet revealed as we uncover every detail, starting now. The night air outside Seoul's Grand Aurora Theater was electric. The kind of charged atmosphere that seems to vibrate against your skin. Even hours before the start of the prestigious Celestia Awards, the crowd lining the red carpet was already buzzing with speculation. Camera phones raised, fluttering in the chilly breeze. Under the piercing white beams of spotlights, the crimson path stretched like an unspoken promise, a promise of glamour, of drama, of moments that would be replayed endlessly on screens across the country. But no one could have predicted just how explosive one moment would be. The first sign that something unusual was about to happen came not from the flashing cameras, but from the sudden rise in the crowd's pitch. There had been whispers all week. Of course, whispers about Byun Woo-seok, the tall, effortlessly magnetic actor whose star had only burned brighter after his last drama's runaway success, and Kim Hye-yoon, the nation's sweetheart with a smile that could make even the most jaded viewer soften. They had been paired together before, on screen and in promotional tours. Their chemistry so palpable that entire online communities had sprung up dedicated to shipping them. Still, they had never crossed that invisible line between co-star and something more. Or so everyone thought. When the first glimpse of them appeared at the far end of the carpet, the reaction was instant. Screams erupted. Not the polite applause reserved for most celebrities, but the unrestrained, glass-shattering cries of people witnessing something they had only dared imagine. Byun Woo-seok, dressed in a perfectly tailored black velvet suit, moved with that calm confidence that comes from knowing every camera was on him, and yet, his eyes weren't scanning the crowd. They were locked, unflinchingly, on the woman beside him. Kim Hye-yoon was radiant in an ivory silk gown that seemed to glow under the lights. Her hair swept back to reveal delicate diamond earrings that caught and reflected the flashbulbs like tiny stars. But it wasn't her dress, her jewelry, or even her smile that made the moment catch fire. It was the way she looked up at him, a glance so fleeting and yet so loaded with unspoken words that photographers instinctively leaned in, fingers twitching over their shutters. And then it happened. Without hesitation, Byun Woo-seok extended his hand. Not in the formal escort style expected on such occasions, but in a natural, unguarded gesture that spoke of familiarity. She didn't pause. Didn't glance around to gauge the reaction. She simply placed her hands in his, fingers curling as if it were the most natural thing in the world. The carpet seemed to shrink around them. The crowd roared. Flash after flash went off. The bursts of light almost blinding, each one immortalizing the moment from every possible angle. They moved slowly, deliberately, as though the world around them had melted away. A few times, Woo-seok leaned in to say something, and each time Hye-yoon's lips curved into a smile that was half amusement, half something softer, deeper. The press line, usually a wall of shouted questions and frenzied demands, fell into a strange rhythm, photographers calling their names, yes, but in voices tinged with awe. Somewhere near the end of the carpet, a voice from the crowd shouted, "Is this a confirmation?" The question cut through the noise, and for the briefest moment, both of them froze. Woo-seok glanced down at her, and in that heartbeat, the decision was made. He didn't answer in words. Instead, he shifted closer, placing his palm gently on the small of her back as he guided her past a final row of photographers. It was subtle, easily missed by those not looking closely. But for those who were, it was the equivalent of a declaration. By the time they reached the main stage area for official photos, social media had already erupted. Hashtags like Byun Woo-seok Kim Hye-yoon, red carpet explosion, and midnight affection were climbing the trending lists at dizzying speed. Short clips of their walk, recorded from shaky fan cams, were being reposted thousands of times within minutes. Inside the press tent, reporters scrambled to rewrite their intros. Editors barked orders to get those shots up now. Even veteran entertainment journalists, who had seen every possible variety of celebrity scandal and romance, admitted this was different. It's not just a gesture. One was overheard saying, "It's the way they looked at each other. That's not acting." Meanwhile, backstage, away from the frenzy, something else was unfolding, something the cameras outside hadn't caught. As they stepped behind the velvet curtain separating the public from the performers, Woo-seok slowed his pace. letting the handlers and PR managers move ahead. Din of the crowd faded, replaced by the quieter hum of crew members preparing for the next arrivals. And then, with no audience but the low buzz of backstage chatter, he turned to her. There was no grand gesture this time. Calculated pose. He simply reached up to tuck a loose strand of hair behind her ear, his fingers brushing against her cheek. For a fraction of a second, it seemed to hold its breath. She looked up at him, eyes shimmering under the warm backstage lights, and mouthed something, just a few words, that made him smile, small and private. They didn't notice the stagehand lingering nearby, phone in hand, or the way he subtly angled the camera to capture the scene. That video would surface later, sending the internet into another spiral. But for now, the moment belonged only to them. It was then that a staff member approached, whispering that they needed to prepare for a joint interview. Hye-yoon's expression shifted, a flicker of nerves crossing her face. But Woo-seok gave her hand a reassuring squeeze before leading her toward the waiting area. What no one knew, not yet, was that this interview, scheduled as a light-hearted segment for the live broadcast, would take an unexpected turn. Questions carefully vetted by management would be discarded. And under the bright studio lights, with millions watching, something would be said, or perhaps shown, that would change the narrative entirely. And as the cameras outside continued to flash, capturing the arrivals of other stars, the crowd remained restless, their minds replaying the sight they just witnessed. Of perfectly curated celebrity appearances. The image burned brightest, Byun Woo-seok and Kim Hye-yoon, walking hand in hand down the red carpet, smiling at each other as if no one else existed. The backstage holding room was smaller than anyone might imagine for such a prestigious event. Beige walls, a modest couch, a small table scattered with bottled water and carefully arranged snacks. Yet, in that confined space, the tension felt expansive, stretching to fill every corner. Staff bustled in and out, adjusting earpieces, confirming schedules, and checking that the stars were camera-ready. Woo-seok and Kim Hye-yoon sat side by side, their knees almost touching, as a makeup artist dabbed at Hye-yoon's cheekbone. So often, their eyes would meet in the mirror. Wasn't the lingering, cinematic gaze from the red carpet, but something more intimate, the quick, wordless checks that spoke of a private understanding. Woo-seok's thumb tapped lightly against his knee, a subtle rhythm betraying the energy simmering under his composed exterior. A production assistant leaned in through the doorway. "You're up in 3 minutes." Hye-yoon exhaled, shoulders lifting then dropping as if trying to shake off the weight of expectation. Woo-seok caught her glance, and before she could say anything, he murmured just loud enough for her to hear, "We're fine. Just be ourselves." The words shouldn't have carried so much weight, but they did. Maybe it was the way his voice dropped slightly, soft and protective. Or maybe it was because she knew that the world they lived in, being themselves was the riskiest move of all. The live interview began innocuously enough. The host, a well-known figure with a disarming smile, greeted them warmly, congratulated them on their recent projects, and teased Woo-seok about his increasing number of international fans. The banter flowed easily, the kind of light entertainment everyone expected from such events. And then, the shift happened. The host leaned forward slightly, twinkling with a kind of mischief that could only mean trouble. "So," she began, her tone casual but deliberate, "the two of you looked very close on the red carpet tonight. The internet is going wild. Should we be congratulating you?" Question hung in the air, sharper than it seemed. Hye-yoon's lips parted slightly, her gaze flicking to Woo-seok. In the half-second pause before he spoke, 1,000 possible answers must have flashed through both their minds: the safe denial, the vague deflection, the playful tease. Woo-seok didn't take any of those paths. Instead, he reached over, his hand finding hers, fingers curling with a quiet certainty. The studio audience, small in number but armed with smartphones, erupted into gasps and excited whispers. Hye-yoon's breath caught, corners of her mouth lifting into a smile that was part disbelief, part relief. He didn't say, "Yes, we're together." He didn't need to. The gesture said enough. And yet, he added, "Been close for a long time. Some things, you can't really hide forever." It was like throwing a lit match into dry kindling. Social media platforms exploded, hashtags multiplying by the second. Screenshots of that exact moment, his hand over hers, were already flooding timelines. Every entertainment blog worth its name was scrambling to rewrite headlines. The host, sensing she'd just landed the scoop of the night, pressed further. "So you're saying?" Woo-seok smiled, that infuriatingly calm expression that managed to be both teasing and sincere. "I'm saying," he replied, "that I'm glad we walked together tonight." The interview wrapped with laughter and polite applause. But the undercurrent was anything but polite. Inside the broadcast booth, managers and PR staff were already on their phones, strategizing responses, anticipating the calls from sponsors, preparing for the onslaught of requests for joint appearances. In the green room, Woo-seok and Hye-yoon sat side by side once more. The buzz from the audience still hummed in their ears, but in here, it felt quieter, not silent, but calm. She turned to him, brows arched. "Do you have any idea what you just started?" His lips quirked into a half-smile. Maybe it was time. Neither of them knew that the real storm hadn't even begun. Because while the interview was playing live, that backstage clip, the one captured by the stagehand of Woo-seok tucking her hair behind her ear, had just leaked online. Unlike the polished, deliberate glamour of the red carpet or the controlled environment of the interview, this video was raw. It was them. Stripped of pretense. The tenderness in his touch, the way she leaned into his hand ever so slightly, it was intimate in a way that even their boldest fans hadn't dared imagine. The comments section under the leaked video became a battlefield. Some fans swooned, thrilled to see their favorite on-screen couple possibly becoming a real-life romance. Others expressed disbelief, questioning if this was a publicity stunt. A few skeptics accused them of manipulating their image to boost their upcoming drama's ratings. And then there were the die-hard supporters, cutting timelines with messages like, "If they were happy, we're happy. We knew it all along." In the hours that followed, offers began pouring in: couple magazine spreads, joint brand endorsements, talk show invitations. But along with the opportunities came the inevitable backlash. Certain fan groups felt betrayed, insisting that their idol should remain available in the public's fantasy. Anonymous accounts began posting claims about Woo-seok's past dating life, digging into Hye-yoon's social media history for any hint of prior relationships. Through it all, they remained silent. Next 2 days, neither made any public statement, allowing speculation to swirl unchecked. Paparazzi staked out the lobbies of their management agencies, hoping for a shot of them together again. Entertainment talk shows dedicated entire segments to decoding every micro-expression from the red carpet footage. And until the following Friday night, during the closing moments of a live variety show, that the story took its final, unforgettable turn. Woo-seok had been booked as a special guest, supposedly to promote his upcoming film. The interview was nearly over when the host pulled out a tablet, turning it so the camera could zoom in. On the screen was a still image, him and Hye-yoon, together at an outdoor cafe, clearly taken that very morning. The host raised an eyebrow. "Care to explain?" Woo-seok didn't flinch. He looked straight into the camera, his voice steady. "We're not here to play games. She's someone important to me. And yes, we're seeing each other." The studio erupted. Viewers at home would later say they'd never seen an admission so direct, so devoid of spin. And somewhere across the city, Kim Hye-yoon, watching from her living room, smiled. Not the polished red carpet smile. A real one. The internet didn't just break that night. Exploded. Within minutes, their names topped global trending charts. Fans from Seoul to Los Angeles, from Bangkok to Paris, were posting their reactions, making art together fan videos of every glance, every touch, every moment they'd ever shared in public. They're already overflowing with celebrity scandals, surprise weddings, and messy breakups. This was different. This was a love story unfolding in real time, unpredictable, intoxicating, and, for now, blissfully unapologetic. And as the lights dimmed on the week's chaos, one thing became clear: the red carpet would never be the same again. Not after Byun, Woo-seok and Kim Hye-yoon had turned it into the most romantic runway in memory.